of all, let's understand what is self-doubt. Self-doubt is basically the lack of confidence in oneself and one's ability or even decisions. Usually it comes as an unconscious nagging thought that keeps on reoccurring about the same subject. However, the feeling of self-doubt is completely normal. All of us will feel insecure and have self-doubt now and then, especially when you are doing something new. In fact, a little of doubt is rather healthy because it means that you're mindful of the challenge you are taking. At its core, doubt are only the way your brain communicates to you the unsureness about what you want to do, nothing more. Now, doubts become a real problem when you start, for instance, to doubt about things that you should be established and acquire, such as your worth or your capacity or even your decisions. Usually the cause of self-doubt are unhappy childhood where parents or other significant people such as teachers were extremely critical, poor academic performances in school resulting in a lack of confidence, ongoing stressful life events such as relationship breakdown or financial trouble. On the other hand, the long-term negative effect of self-doubt can be far greater than what you can imagine. But here are a couple of examples. Feeling worthless, having a loud inner critic, imposter syndrome, anxiety, avoidant attachment, insecure attachment, being self-critical, need for constant approval, people-pleasing tendency, feeling insecure at work or in relationship, low confidence. In today's video, I'm going to show you how you can deal with self-doubt just by increasing the level of your self-awareness and self-coaching yourself on the spot using the Osfour self-coaching model, aka the Swiss knife.
Hello everyone, this is Sofia Osfour and welcome on my masterclass on healing wounds with the Osfour self-coaching model. Before we start, let's first understand what is a model. In psychology, a model is referred as a theory or process that is either created to understand a mechanism or to solve a precise problem, such as the work of Byron Katie, which is made out of 4 powerful questions that helps you change your belief system. The next question you're probably wondering about is what is the Osfour self-coaching model then? The Osfour self-coaching model is a process, a set of habits and principles, and a tool. But the best way to describe it would be to simply say that it is a daily practice. As a process, it is designed to transform negative experiences into powerful life lessons and help you heal them. As a set of habits and principles, it teaches you how you can recycle your negative experiences to drastically increase your self-awareness and enhance the quality of your communication, as well as using those experiences as a springboard for you to learn, grow, and evolve. As a tool, it provides you with a powerful set of principles that, and when combined with the sets of habits and the process itself, becomes a very sophisticated tool that ultimately allows you to self-coach yourself on the spot in order to manage and face the daily challenges of your life in a more efficient, powerful, and peaceful way. Now, I know what you're going to say to me. Sofia, that all sounds very important and interesting, but what do you mean exactly? Let me break it down to you. You know how sometimes you're going through a very difficult situation and the only question you have in your head over and over is, why me? And don't you agree that negative experiences can be sometimes so challenging that it feels as though you're dragging them years and years after you've experienced them? Well, what you probably don't know is that the reason you drag them is because you have not been able to process them properly, digest them, forgive them, and ultimately learn the lesson they had to teach you. Oh yes, because I forgot to tell you, but all the bad experiences that you're going through in your life, well, they're not just there to hurt you, but in fact to teach you a very important lesson you need to learn in order to grow. And spoiler alert, guys, but that is one of the purpose of life. I'm just saying. So, in other words, the better you get at digesting those experiences and of course learning from them, the easier your life is going to be. So I'm guessing that at this point, your next question is, what would I really benefit from learning the Osfour self-coaching model? Okay, that is a fair question. But before I tell you that, let me first say this. One of the most disturbing assumptions that is made in our society, and that I personally always thought to be not only strange, but also seriously disempowering, is the fact that people take for granted that because you are a human being from day one, that obviously means that you know and understand everything that is happening inside your inner world, which is simply not true. The reality is that most of us operate at a basic and reactive level because we are on autopilot mode, unconscious of what is really happening into our inner world. We react and respond to outside stimuli without having a clear understanding of why we feel or act the way we do, simply because we have never been taught how to inquire about it. But moreover, because even if we knew about it, what are we supposed to do with it? So the benefit of learning the Osfour self-coaching model is that it gives you the knowledge, tools, and skills you need to be mindful of yourself, where you can anticipate, understand, and control what is happening into your inner world. But more importantly, deal with it. The model is designed to provide you with a clear and simple process and give you the tools to self-coach yourself in order to operate in a more efficient way at 3 constant levels that most people struggle with in their daily life, which is what you experience, how you experienced it, and how you respond to it. In this masterclass, I'm teaching you the basic of the Osfour self-coaching model through study cases of famous people. Together, we are going to analyze what are the negative experiences they faced and how they could digest, learn, and heal them if they had the Osfour self-coaching model. The model is made out of 3 layers. The process, which is the 4 different steps that the model is made of. The postures, which is the attitude that you will need to develop to go through the process. And finally, the postulas, which are, if you will, the rules that structure the model. Here in this masterclass, you will be taught the process and the postures. And if you're interested to work with me on one-to-one and learn the whole Osfour self-coaching model, go on my website to see my coaching package, or contact me directly via my email address to book your 30 minutes free discovery session. You'll find both the link below this video. Finally, keep in mind that although the Osfour self-coaching model is a very powerful tool, it is not designed to work on traumatic experiences or for people with mental issues. For those things, we advise you to seek other type of support.
Imagine the scene. You're just sitting there in a conference room with all your colleagues, and at some point your bosses say, okay, who is ready to take this project on? And without even thinking for 1 second, you raise your hand and say, me, I can do it. And at that moment, you're just so full of, energy and confidence. And then your boss says, okay, if you think you can do it, then we give you a chance. You're so happy because this is the chance you've been waiting for. Now everybody applaud you. And slowly, everybody stands up and everybody goes back to the office. But as you leave the room, you start to feel a little tension just there, and you start to have trouble even breathing. You're walking towards your office, and there that tension becomes a tiny voice that says, you can't do this. Are you crazy? How are you going to do that? You've never done anything like that, And as you're walking further to your office until the moment you're just sitting down alone, it's like something just hit you because you're doubting yourself. You're not sure you can do it. You've never done anything like that. And the voices in your head is just getting louder, so full of doubt. This is a moment of crisis. Okay, you guys, so ready to self-coach yourself? Let's start. But before we start, I just want to remind you that you have a free worksheet that you can download below this video. In there, there's everything you need to know to use the Osfour self-coaching model either as a process or as a tool. As you know, this model can be used both ways. As a process, if you want to learn how to use it, you can find the video 1, 2, and 3. From now on, I'm going to make videos that are slightly short where I just teach you how to self-coach yourself. And that's exactly what we're going to do today, because ultimately this model is about daily practice. The more you practice, the better you get at it. So here, you're gonna have a video picture, sorry, of the first part of the model. And as you can see, it's always the same. You have your perception, your thoughts, your emotions, your beliefs, and your behaviors. When this is the structure you follow when you use the model as a process, but in this case we're using it as a way to self-coach yourself. So we're gonna start with emotions. And obviously, you're somebody who's experiencing self-doubt. We all do at some times, but it's always very funny, when you're experiencing something emotionally but you don't really know what's going on, right? Because then what it does is that you don't really have an option of how you're going to react towards that. Instead, you just basically reacting to it instead of really being able to step back and say, okay, let me assess the situation and let me think, how am I going to react to this, right? So what is this? This is exactly what the model teaches you when you use it as a tool. So it's always the same, when you're looking for your emotions, it's the easiest place to start. Just right there, I put my hand in there or in here, and you connect your breathing with your heartbeat, and you go all the way down and you ask this simple question that the model is teaching you, as well as the skills that is connected to it. The question is, what's going on? What's going on inside of me right now? And I call this skill cut down. And most likely, if you are somebody who's experiencing self-doubt is at its core is a byproduct of fear, right? And fear, remember always that our emotions are never bad, they're just messenger. They're just letting you know this is what's happening inside of you right now, and I'm just here to let you know that. So in this case, if you have fear, it's not a bad thing. It's just telling you, look, I don't really feel ready about this thing. I've never done it. Maybe I'm slightly out of my comfort zone and I'm scared. That's it. That's all this message is about. But often, one, because we don't really allow ourselves to welcome those emotions. So in a way, it's like, the more you're trying to control them, the bigger they get, And so being able to have the tools so that you can welcome those emotions and then deal with them, because it's not just about opening the door, but it's also, okay, once I open the door, what am I going to do with those emotions? Well, I'm going to show you. So the first emotions, as I said, most likely it's fear. Maybe you could have other emotions. Do the exercise for yourself and make a mental note of all the emotions you found in there. Once you have done that, what you're looking for is like thinking, okay, you know what? I said to my boss, I'm going to do it. You stand there in the office and you said, you're going to do it. In that moment, you are not doubting yourself, okay? So what you want to find out is, okay, what was the thought that I had just before I started to have these emotions in here, that fear that started to tickle in here in my belly. And most likely, you have, thoughts. I can only imagine something like you're not good enough, you've never done something like that, this is the first time, you know how your boss is, whatever, So you want to find out what are the thoughts that were there just before the emotions were triggered. Then once you have figured out what are the thoughts, you make a mental note of all of that, and then you go on and are looking for your general perception of the situation, okay? So think about it. In the moment where you said, I can do it, me, give me this project, okay? So once you've done that, now you're walking away. What is your perception in that moment? Maybe you're thinking, oh my God, if I make a mistake, I'm going to be fired. This maybe was a perception that you had, and that's why you started to feel fearful. Or maybe, last week we were talking about perfectionism, so maybe you thought, oh my God, I'm not allowed to make one mistake. If it's for a professional reason, I don't think your boss would give you something thinking, yeah, great, make mistakes. Obviously not, but at the same time, if you give your best, shouldn't have mistakes, right? Shouldn't be any mistakes. So what basically you're trying to figure it out here is simply your perception, because your perception is going to allow you to find out a core wound that is maybe there, right? And that is what, is maybe the problem. Because remember, the problem in life is not the situation we're experiencing, but only the perception we have of those experiences. So for instance, if I have the impression or the perception that, if I don't do this project absolutely perfectly, my boss is gonna fire me, then that could be a cause of why I'm self-doubting myself. So looking for the perception is gonna give you the information you need of why am I feeling suddenly so loaded with self-doubt, right? The other thing you have to remember is that our perception are the cause of why we don't have access anymore to our resources and our resourcefulness. So that's why it's very important. Just by changing the point of view of what I see, the way I see a situation is going to completely change. If I think in my head, okay, if I don't do these things right, I'm just going to be fired, or if I think, you know what, this is going to be an amazing challenge for me to prove myself that I can take a project like this and do it all on my own. It's the same situation, but it's a different perspective. And in one perspective, I feel stressed out and I don't have access to my resources. And in the other, I definitely have, and I'm going to tap into my resources and my resourcefulness. Very important. This is the first part. Now that I have figured out these three parts, I'm just going to go and find out what is the general, conclusion that I make out of this situation, right? So most likely, there's a belief in there that was already in the perception, something like I'm not good enough, or, if I'm not perfect, or I'm not doing this perfectly, I might be fired, something like this. But ultimately, there's a belief that is connected to the perception. And remember, a belief is not true. It's just a conclusion that you make about the meaning or the limitation that an experience has taught you. That's it. Finally, once I have found out, and most likely it's something you're going to say to yourself, by the way, it's like, oh my God, I'm not good enough. This is a belief system. Or, if I don't make this perfectly right, I'm going to be fired. This is a belief that you have. It sounds like it's real, but it's not real. Basically, this is what I believe. Finally, what you want to find out is, okay, when I feel as though I'm not good enough, how do I behave? How do I behave? Do I tap 100% in my capacity? Most likely not. Because remember, I've said it and I would say it again and again. A belief system it's like a prophecy that you have no other choice than make it happen. So if I feel as though I'm not good enough, somehow I'm going to have to not tap into my whole potential. So in the end, my brain and my belief are just going to be right. Okay, second part now. You have a picture here. And basically, on this second part, when you use the model as a tool, the question that you want to answer, and the tool that is connected to that question is, what is it exactly that is hurtful about what's happening, or what is the problem about what's happening, right? And the tool the tool and the skills that is connected to that is basically zoom in. Okay, so now let's start. What is it exactly the problem about me doubting myself? Or what is it exactly that I doubt myself about? That would be like a better question to ask. What is it exactly that I doubt myself? And in that space, you go into the problem and you cut through the chase. I'm doubting myself. That's okay. But that's a very generalized statement. What is it exactly that you doubt yourself about? Okay? Once you have found out, you make a mental note of all the things. You know what? I'm doubting that I can organize this whole project all by myself. Some of those doubts are maybe real. That's it. Like I said to you at the beginning, is that, doubt at its core is just a byproduct of fear. So maybe those fears are legit. Actually, I'm not really good about organizing, so maybe I could ask for help. Amazing, right? But maybe some of this doubt are completely just product of your mind. It's like, I'm doubting that I don't have imagination, And actually, for a fact that you have imagination. So you have to find out if some of those doubts are actually legit or not, right? That's it. Because if they are, I'm doubting myself that, I've never done something like this, so I'm doubting that I can manage all of this by myself. Maybe I can ask help for, one of my colleagues. That's it. So this is what you figure it out. What is it exactly the problem about the fact that I'm doubting, or I should say, what is it exactly that I'm doubting myself about? Then the second part is distinguishment. Distinguishment is always about finding out if what you're experiencing is something that belongs to you, or there's something that's been passed on to you. I just said now, if you're doubting that you're not going to be able to organize yourself because this is something you're not so good, then this is realistic, it's legit doubt. But if you doubting yourself that you're not creative when you know for a fact that you are a creative person, then you gotta ask yourself where this come from. Where is this doubt comes from? Maybe someone at some point, you don't know, I said to you once, you know what, actually I think you have no imagination. I'm just giving you an example here. So to figure it out if this thing or this doubt belongs to me, or is it a doubt, that belongs to other people. For instance, how many of us, have had people throughout our whole life, who were just doubting, oh, you can't do that, you can't be that, teachers, peers, whatever. So all of those noise, you gotta find out, mine, not mine. Okay? That's it. Once you have done that, what you want to figure it out is, okay, when I'm doubting myself in that specific moment, what was my reply in that moment? So obviously, lucky enough, in this situation, you were spontaneous about, because you were like, you know what, I'm the one, that's it, choose me, and the doubt came after, right? And since now in that moment you can actually assess and work on your self-awareness and work on what's going on, so you could say that your answer to this whole situation is pretty good, because right now you're taking control. Another situation would have been if you just burst out in tears or something, then it's an autopilot, reply. But in this case, I have to say, so far so good, so far so good. Now, here's the thing. What is the positive attention behind self-doubting yourself? See, here's the thing. You may think, you know what, this is so annoying. I know in my heart that I can do this thing. Why am I doubting myself for? So sometimes it could be very annoying, but you have to think that our brain is designed to protect ourselves. So this comes from like basic mechanism that we have as a human being, and that as soon as we're going to take on something that is out of your comfort zone, new, then your brain is going to kick in, because it's just trying to protect you from anything new. That's it. The main thing is that you don't allow it to stop you, but instead you listen to the message, because the message is that, listen, you're asking me to do something that is out of my comfort zone and I'm a bit scared. Okay, so let's get ready. Let's prepare ourselves. Let's take this thing. But it becomes a problem when the self-doubt becomes so overwhelming that now you don't do anything. This is the place where you have to separate yourself. So the positive attention of your brain is just to warn you that I'm not sure about what I'm doing, and you have to help me, right? In that case, well, I tell you after what we do in that case. Anyway, finally, what you want to find out is the patterns. How many times, a week, a month, I have something like this, and I'm doubting myself, right? And what is this doubt about? What you want to do when you're working on the pattern is to monitorize that self-doubt, you have self-doubt when you go out with a new person, like you just met someone and you doubt yourself. Where is this doubt place? Because some people can be very confident in certain area of their life and absolutely not confident in other areas of their life. So you want to find out where is the doubt. So you're looking for the patterns and you monitorize that. Okay? Okay guys, so here's the picture of the third part. As you know, the third part is not the last part of the model because there's 4 parts in this model, but there's only 4 parts when you use it as a process. When you use the model as a tool, we stop on the third part of the model because in there's the 2 parts. 2 parts, 2 questions, 2 tools. So the number 1 questions is what needs to change, okay? And I call this skill slow down. The second one is how am I going to make that change, okay? And I call this focus. But let's first, for the moment, focus on the first question, which is what needs to change, okay? So here's a question. Based on what you found, you're going to assess for yourself, and that's what this model is about, is that you learn to self-coach yourself, manage yourself, and find what's best for you, what works for you, because what works for me and him and him and him doesn't necessarily work for you, and that's why you have to practice it. But ultimately, I can give you some clues in here. If you find out that you have self-doubt for this project, and it's more like a normal type of self-doubt, what you just need to do is to work your ass off on this project, give your 100%, and if you have self-doubt about certain aspect that you're not sure about, ask for help, ask for support, bring some people into that project that have the skills that you don't have so that you can learn from them. Don't be afraid to share with other people, because I think that this is gonna lift some of the pressure off you of certain aspect that maybe you need to learn. That's one thing. Now if you have discover while you were doing this assessment that you've got like self-doubt, I would say, for no reason, like you're creative but somehow you still doubt your creativity, this is a place where obviously it comes from maybe outside other people, or maybe even comes from experiences that you experienced yourself. It doesn't really matter in this case, because here's the thing. When it comes down to this type of doubt, which are, I want to say, not realistic, they're not legit doubt. That's it, that's the word. See, if I feel as though I'm not really good at organizing, this is a legit doubt. But if I know that I have imagination, but I doubt my imagination, this is not legit. So for those doubts, what you have to learn to do is to completely put them on the side. And I know it's not easy, because doubts will trigger emotions, and sometimes, depending what level of doubts you have, it even would affect your will to do something, to work on something. But this is the place where you got to remember the moment where you're just like, me, that's it, and hold on to what you feel you can do, because sometimes what you feel you can do can be in conflict with the doubt. The doubt says, no way, you can't do that, are you crazy? And you feel you can do it. And all of this needs to be put aside, and you have to learn to work with the doubt, especially this kind of doubt, because they're not legit. So there's no way to avoid them. All you can do is just put them on the side. Okay, so for the last part of the model, it's a goal setting, as you should know by now. So either you have found out that your doubts are legit or your doubts are not legit. Either way, you have to find out, okay, so how am I gonna make that change? Okay, so what is it that I'm gonna do, right? why am I going to do it? How am I going to do it? And for instance, if you have a project and you feel as though you're not so good with organization and you want to ask someone else to help you, okay, what could be the inconvenience for you to ask someone else to help you, right? Maybe the inconvenience is that that person will try to take over your project. I'm just saying, this could be it. And you have to be prepared for those things, because when they happen, if they happen, to be ready for it, to think about those things is very important, because like this, you already have a reply ready for it, And maybe that means that you're going to have to assert yourself as the manager of that project, which is going to be another thing to work on, but that's amazing. And you're going to have to be, look, I ask you to come in this project with me to help me, but I'm still the one who manages this project, and I appreciate your help, but I'm still the one who managed it, And that is, that's an amazing exercise to assert yourself. And finally, to engage yourself, which you've already done when you raise your hand. So in that case, you don't really need to engage yourself more than you already are. And on the second point, where you have assessed that basically the doubt that you're experiencing are not legit, they're just, loud noise that you from the past, those ones you have to learn how to do what you want to do despite that. And that is also a place where you have to really sit down and find out, okay, what am I going to do? Why am I doing it? And the reason it's important to always understand why you're doing the things that you do is because in a moment of difficulty or crisis, if you don't know why you're doing the thing that you have decided to do, you're going to give up. Okay? So why is it important for me to learn to put on the side all this doubt? Well, because if I don't, then, I'm going to always be left in the corner, because I'm not going to be able to take another project on. That's it. How am I going to do it? Okay, so the doubt is coming. It's not legit. How am I going to deal? How am I going to perform beyond that doubt? What could be the inconvenience of me working beyond the doubt? Maybe, when you have doubt and it's not legit, obviously, doubt will create, there's a structure, there's a perception, there's thoughts, and then there's emotion. So that means that maybe I'm going to have to work feeling the stress, frustrated, fearful, and it's not easy. So maybe the inconvenience of that will be that I'm not performing as well as I would if I was feeling completely confident. That could be the inconvenience of that. Finally, you just engage yourself and you're like, listen, I'm not going to allow this doubt or those doubts, because usually they're not coming, they come in a pack at 3, 4, 10, and I'm not going to allow this to stop me from taking that project that I said I would. Okay guys, so I hope this video helped you. You can leave a comment below, by the way, or like ring a bell or whatever, subscribe to my YouTube channel, that'd be amazing. But what I'm gonna say to you until next week is peace, love and light. Bye bye.